If you fail, at least you tried. It's better to say I tried than not try at all. You don't want to look back at your life 10, 20 years and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that.
You got to pick yourself up, go backwards, and slam yourself at the wall like 500 more times until the wall crumbles.
25% of middle school girls already believe they'll never achieve their dream career.
Hi, I'm Goldin, founder and CEO of Hint, and you're listening to Unstoppable, a podcast spotlighting the journeys of inspiring entrepreneurs. I believe that at its core, leadership is about constantly learning from the people around you, and I'm so inspired by the conversations we're having in our upcoming episodes and can't wait to share them with you. This season, some of my guests include Rebecca Minkoff, fashion designer and founder of the Female Founder Collective, Diana Kapp, author of Girls Who Run the World, Andrew Dudham, founder of Hims, and Eugene Rem, co-founder of Rumble Fitness, and much, much more. Plus, we ask the million-dollar question, what does it really take to be unstoppable? Let's find out. Hi, everybody. It's Kara with Unstoppable, and I'm super excited to have our next guest here, Stevi Christine. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? I am actually so excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here. Now, where are you right now? We're obviously recording during COVID and hopefully the end of COVID, but where are you sitting? She's based in LA typically, but.
I am based in LA typically, and I'm sitting looking outside my window in Cape Cod. Storm's about to come. Just looking out.
Please be safe. But let me tell you a little bit about Stevi in case you guys are not familiar with her. I've been fangirling Stevi forever on Instagram. She's an award-winning celebrity brow and makeup artist with over 15 years of experience and, you know, really natural looking, just brows. But I mean, I hesitate because you're not just, I mean, you're definitely brows and you're sort of known for that, but you're also just makeup and you have kind of the done brow look. But I mean, and some of, you know, the most kind of natural, notable celebrities that are out there and influencers that are out there. But like I said, Stevi started her career way back when as a freelance artist working for Laura Mercier, where she recognized talent soon and took off just basically working with some of these high profile people and film and music and red carpet events. She became the resident brow stylist at Kate Somerville, where she is known as the eyebrow fairy. Is that right? She is. And she's been featured in Glamor, OK, Refinery 29, named Best Brow Artist in Los Angeles. I mean, Allure magazine, the list goes on and on and on. Actually, you are based really LA, but also you go to New York City. I know a lot. We've talked about hooking up a few times there too. But recently, she's launched a line around eyebrows, products around it. And I really wanted to get Stevi on here because obviously she's been following her passion and figured out what she's really good at. And, you know, obviously, like people will ask her all the time, I mean, how do I, you know, really get the look that you're creating for me? And I love that she's launched her own business around this. And I want to just, you know, kind of hear from her. I'm sure a lot of people think, okay, I'm doing what I love and I've thought about launching products, but you just went and just did it. And I think that that's just awesome and really admirable. So really excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very excited. So the line is called Naturally By.
It's Naturally by Stevi Christine.
So what was kind of like, when did you finally decide, I got to just go do this?
My real like aha moment, I always knew I wanted just to own my own something. I just didn't know. When I was younger, I thought I was going to go into fashion. Like I was obsessed with fashion. I would cut my own clothes. Like I'd make my dolls have fashion shows and my mom would be so pissed because, you know, back then like Guess was big and Guess is like, it's not cheap, right? And I would cut the little Guess sign out and I would make the jeans and my mom would walk in, she's like, we just bought you those for school. That starts in 2 months or a month, whatever. You know, you go shopping first the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm creative and I need to do this. And And so I think like at a very young age, when I kind of stepped back, I'm like, oh, I was always kind of creating things like that I wasn't supposed to be doing. So
Sure.
I think it was always there, but a really close girlfriend of mine, she was 27 at the time. She was diagnosed with cancer. And at first we were like, okay, it was scary, right? At that time. And then we really dug in like, oh my God, what if my eyebrows fall out and my hair falls out? Now what? And when we started looking at eyebrow products, I was like, okay, I'll help you out and we'll just try to get eyebrow products that would work for you if you have no hair. And then she had to go to chemo, and then they tell you about like all these chemicals and whatnot. And when we started like digging deep into it, we realized, okay, there's a lot of cosmetics out there with a lot of crap and a lot of like ingredients that actually are harmful, especially if you're going through treatment. You don't want to add anything more that you don't need to, right? And then that's kind of like where my aha moment came of like, okay, I have this crazy cult following of like, I'm this eyebrow fairy and I'm this and that. And I never even dreamt that I was going to be an eyebrow anything. I love people. I'm a makeup artist. And that's when I was like, okay, like I see a little niche here and like, let's try and figure this out. And that's kind of how the brand started. And no one really knows that story because I kind of feel like it's not a sad story, but it's not, does that make sense? It's like,
Yeah, no, totally. And I think there's always that aha moment where people think like, okay, I want to go do this. When did you actually launch the brand?
2 years ago. Mm-hmm.
And when you launched it, what was sort of your strategy? Just take it out to your existing clients? Did you launch it online? What was like the thinking?
I mean, I really didn't have a strategy. I mean, I spoke to so many people and I got different information and I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there and see what happens. And, through social media, thank goodness we have that. And I, created my own website myself. And I was up like till like 2, 3, 4 a.m. sometimes just doing it myself. Cause when you're first starting, especially I'm self-funded. And so I need to do a lot of legwork myself. And I wanted to be self-funded because I want to control like what ingredients I'm using and what all of this looks like and feels like and textures and colors and everything. And I just put it out there. And I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I'm so nervous. Like my heart was beating. I'm like, okay, I'm going to post this on my Instagram
And see
account.
what happens.
Oh God.
No, it is
It was
scary. It's like somebody's telling you that your
yeah,
baby's ugly, right?
it's
It's
so
like,
scary. It's like
yeah,
so scary. And then it's like, this is my own money. And it's a lot of money. I have a lot of, I had to buy a lot of stock in it. And like, I'm like, oh my God, what if like not one person buys it? Oh my God. I'm just like freaking out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there, put it on social media. I did my own website and here I am. And thankfully, luckily, it's continuing to grow. And we're definitely adding more products to the line. We're really small because, again, I'm self-funded. So we only have currently 5 SKUs. And I kind of wanted it like that because I wanted to start like, you've heard of the book Tipping Point. It's like when
right.
someone says something and then it's just kind of it's conversations and talk and growth. And I don't know, I studied communications and rhetorical studies, so it's that same thing, the art of persuasion, but natural, it's not forced. And I think I was going with that. I'm like, I'm just going to go with a natural word of mouth and hopefully that grows it. And luckily I have a great clientele personally, and I work with incredible artists all over the world. And I think just with that, I was just trying to see like, hey, what's going to happen? I'm just going to throw it out there and I'm going to be vulnerable. I think you kind of have to be
Yeah.
vulnerable and just say, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think also that I think so often people don't want to like reach out to their friends. They don't want to sort of tell them, it's just because again, you don't want them to say no to you. And, I've been so surprised. I mean, my book, as I've told
Absolutely.
you, is coming out in October. And, initially I was like, I don't want to bother anybody
So
about it.
exciting though.
And obviously I've launched a brand hint as well, where I've just learned like let people know about what you're doing, because I think like the more you do let people know what you're doing, the more support you actually do have out there. And I know that you've got tons and tons of people who not only like just swear by what you've helped them to do and how you've helped them to show up. And I just think like the interesting thing when I look at, people, and especially some of the people that you've worked with and photographed, I mean, celebrities like Julia Roberts, Blake Lively, right? Few people, Katy Perry, like it's just, you look at them and, they're obviously, really beautiful people, but they're also like their brows are really, they just make them look that much more natural. And I think like that's the kind of thing that I think most people just really, they don't want to be too done up looking. They want to be sort of much more natural. And
Well, I think too, right now during this whole COVID thing, like everyone's wearing masks. Like your brows have to be
that's a good
very
point.
And believe it or not, a
Yeah.
lot of women forget about their brows. I mean, I can't even say, people are like, brows, what? I'm like, do you not like, what, do you even own a brow product? And you would be surprised. Women are like, no, I never even thought about it. Like, I never even thought what to do with my brows. And it's like, interesting.
Tutorials on your Instagram too, that you like during COVID. I love them. No, I've watched them. I mean, they're terrific.
Thank you.
They're so good. In fact, I need a little touch up on my
Thank
brows.
you. I mean, and you have to think like, it's like everything's covered now, right? Make sure those brows are framing those eyes.
Yeah, it's so true. So during COVID, I mean, what have you been able to do as an artist? I mean, it's like, it's super challenging. I feel so sorry for this industry as a
Very
whole,
much so.
right? It's
I
a
agree.
mess. And somebody was telling me the statistic that like, I don't know, I think it's over 90% of the beauty industry, I'm not surprised, is women, right? And a lot of them are sole breadwinners, and it's just, a lot, right?
It is
And
a lot.
so, but what do you think? I mean, what's sort of been your experience just in dealing with, the world?
I think the great side of it is, you have to tap into something else, right? And like, I'm behind the scenes kind of girl. I love making people look beautiful, and I love making people feel confident, whether you're going on stage or you're going on a carpet or you're going to go interview someone else. I like to bring that up. And I think during this whole COVID, it's like, oh, wait, I have to be on camera? Like, I'm not really into this, but how else are my clients and my followers going to like know any of this, right? So I'm like, oh, and I think at least that I could still share my message. I could still give people like positive reinforcement that we're going to get through this together and I'm here for them. And I think that has helped me a lot, because it was hard for a while. It's like, I haven't seen any of my clients since the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's hard. And so I think, thank goodness I have my startup and I have this brand, and it's been a blessing in disguise. And now I'm trying to, because some of our products are made in Korea and in Germany. And this whole thing, I'm like, I've always, when I first launched, I only wanted to do US made. I only wanted to do organic. And again, like I was saying, it was obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, door shut, door shut, door shut, door shut, no, 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 no. And I think now I really want to bring everything back again. And I want to try and bring all my products made here. And that's like the next two products that we're launching are made in the USA. And I'm really excited about that. And they're fantastic, and they're clean, and they're healthy cosmetics is kind of what I'm calling them. And I think that too, the whole COVID, like it really brought me back to the whole, like, okay, I really wanted it. I've always wanted that. And now that I at least I have a little bit more of a name now and a little bit more reputation, reputable now, that more companies are starting to now be okay with me. But also I like email them like 25,000 times a day, right? This person will reply to me. This person will want to work with me. And now they are. And so I think sometimes you have to just keep going, I think. And that's, I mean, it's like you have your ups and your downs and your all arounds, and you're like, why am I getting into this again? And then you have to remember why. And I think COVID really reminded me exactly why.
No, I think that's really, really important. So, and I think just as a, fairly new startup too. I mean, I think you're both a products and then you have a service business, as you said. I think what you've done an amazing job in doing is that you didn't just stop and say, okay, poor me, I just need to like sit here or wait it out or whatever. You really, I mean, I saw you just went right to social and you continued to build your brand and you just did such a great job in doing it.
Thank
No,
you.
you really did. And I think it's like, it's not limited either to any one industry. I think you can, continue to sort of show people that you're a real person that actually is trying to live through the,
Absolutely.
you're a mom as well. And, it's like doing all of,
Absolutely.
a small business owner and all of these, things that so many of us are going through. I think that's just, you have done such an amazing job with that. So tell me, like, what, I know you mentioned other products. Have you launched those like yet? Or?
No, I'm really excited about them now. I've been working on I'm obsessed with brow gels and brow pens. And I've been working on these for at least like 3 years now before even the launch of the actual product. And yeah, I think it's coming to fruition really soon. We're on the last just like fundamentals of everything. And like I said, it's all going to be made in the US. So that's phenomenal as well. But yeah, we're really excited to launch hopefully by the end of this year. So we'll have more products.
So like you've got the 5 eyebrow. What do you think are like some of the top tips for people if they're sitting at home and they want to go on to your site and order? How do they know what color? Right?
That's a good question. And I think that's why when I launched it, I didn't want to get, because, there's so many cosmetics out there. And I think just me as a consumer, I am a consumer, I get lost. And I come from a makeup background. And I'm like, is this brand authentic? What is this brand about? So I didn't want to get lost. And I really wanted to help people and kind of guide them, but not like, how come she has 17 different colors? And I think that's great, right? But for my product, I am trying to make product that universal. For example, my blonde product works on you.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about it. They're interchangeable. And like, you can use another product for your eyeshadow. Like I have it on as my eye because I'm traveling. I have my one product. I use it as my eyeshadow and my eyeliner, and now it's in my brows.
That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, so it's like I wanted it small so then people wouldn't get confused.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very tailored and it's very interchangeable.
That's great.
Like with the hues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very anal when it came to choosing tones and colors and undertones because I wanted it to fit more than just one type of hair color.
Yeah.
I wanted it to kind of reach more.
What do you think are like the key things that people are responding to on your social? Is it the tutorials?
I'm super new at this whole tutorial and I just launched my blog as well on my website. So I'm really new at it. And this, you always have to, well, I do anyway, look in the silver lining of this whole dark place I feel like we're in. And I was like, okay, what can I do? And I thought someone suggested, oh, why don't you do tutorials? Like, I'm sure people would love to know like how to do these things, right? Yeah. And so I just did it. And that was my first one. And Who What Wear asked me to do it. And it just, we had over like 180,000 views on it or something. And I'm like, oh, wait, so people do want to watch these? I'm like, okay, awesome. And so, yeah, I'm definitely going to do a lot more of those because I feel like people love them. And I also don't want to just stick with, brows. If anyone wants to know anything about anything else, if it's beauty or clean eating or anything that goes with our brand, just healthy, like I want to know that too, because I think it's more than that. And like, I really genuinely love connecting with people. Mm-hmm. Like I really genuinely do. I like love people and I really want people to connect with me, even though they can't see me face to face. And I think that would be a great outlet for me too.
I love it.
Connect with people.
I love it. And so you've built the brand on social, lots of word of mouth. Are you going to stores? Do you think like, as stores start to open up, I just look at like the beauty industry and overall, like, where do you think that like sits for a young brand?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. And my whole goal when I first launched was to be in Barney's. Because I'm a Barney's girl at heart. I mean, I love Barney's. I love the concept. I mean, I'm still heartbroken about it. I'm like, why did I have the money to buy it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, why Barney's?
Yeah.
And by the way, I was actually in talks with Barney's. We were going to do a pop-up
Oh, that's amazing.
in New York City. And it was literally like my moment of like, I'm gonna make it.
Yeah.
I'm getting into Barney's. This was my goal. Well, I had two goals. I wanted to write up in Allure. That was my one goal, and I'm in Allure. And my second goal was to be in Barney's. And like there I am talking to the buyers, and we were in negotiation on like when we were gonna do it, and then they closed. And I'm like, okay. And I think something I learned just along the way, you gotta go with the punches and ride them out and just keep on going, because there's going to be things that you think supposed to line, and if I get there then I'm going to be here, and then if I get here I'm going to be there. And I clearly realized I can't get into Barney's because they don't even exist. So now what? So then I just started focusing on my DTC and really just trying to put people there and bring them there. And I think that's kind of like, you just kind of go with it,
Right.
I guess, right?
No, I love it. And I do think that, you're really, somebody said to me the other day, I was talking to him about my podcast actually. And this was somebody who had just this crazy following. And I said, so how do you grow your podcast? And I thought what he said was just so interesting, because I think it's really like, how do you grow a brand? And he's focus on, the first 100 people. Right? Like those people that really said, like, you should go and launch your, business. Like you continue, obviously to invite people in and be a part of it. But I think when you focus on those first 100 people and making sure that, they feel honored, that they feel part of your decision process. I do too. Like I sat there and I, and I think it really applies to almost any business out there, right? Like whether it's, a podcast or if it's a product, because you think about, those people, they'll come back to you and they'll be like, oh gosh, I like, how's your business going? What's going on with it? And just asking them to help you kind of build it, I think is really, such a key thing. So whether it's Barney's, or I'm sure those people have now gone to other places as well,
right?
Like it'll come for you, right? Like over time.
Yeah. And I think, so during this whole other COVID thing, my mind kind of spiraled too. I was like, okay, so, as we know, the bigger stores are starting to close, like the Barney's. And I'm like, okay, so now what? I think so during that, I decided, I think as a brand, especially a small brand, I want a storefront. And no one knows this.
I love it. Well, I think that would be amazing. And I could totally see just browse and just focusing on that.
Yeah, like a little small where we're service as well. So you can come and get your brows and or makeup, but it's our brand. So it's a storefront with services. And I think, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I just think that's the universe is like telling me that's like the next step for my brand.
No,
anyway.
I love it. I love it.
So sorry, Kate Somerville, if you're listening. She doesn't know. She was my client for years.
Coming. So that's awesome. I love it. So I asked you two final questions. So first of all, favorite hint, product or flavor?
I mean, I'm a huge fan. I don't know if you know this, but I am a huge fan. I have literally probably every single, by the way, my followers love your brand now too. Cause I'm always posting and tagging cause I absolutely am obsessed with your product. Everyone now on the East Coast here is now into it. My old in-laws here, cause they carry you at Stop and Shop. Never heard of Stop and Shop, but
yeah, they're in the Cape. Yeah.
Hints there, by the way, we're drinking it out here. But I'm also obsessed with your SPF spray. It's incredible. I love it. It's amazing. So favorite hint, water, I would say watermelon.
Yeah. Watermelon. We have watermelon mint now too. That is so good. Yeah. It's super yummy. We should do something on your Instagram, like maybe do a hint giveaway on your Instagram.
Oh yes. So my followers are obsessed. Hint, that would be good with a little tequila.
Yeah. There you go.
Watermelon mint
I
tequila.
love it. So what makes you unstoppable?
That's a really good question. And I thought about it. And I think when I step back, I think I love what I do. I genuinely, wholeheartedly love what I do. And I know something my dad has always told me, because my dad's an attorney, and he's like, you have to be a doctor or an attorney. You know, it's like old school mentality, I
Yeah.
guess. And I clearly am not either. And I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, but the one thing I gave you is passion, determination, and perseverance. And so basically, you can do whatever you want with those three gifts I gave you. And he's absolutely right. I love what I do. I'm really passionate about it. I don't know if you can tell. And I'm not going to let anything stop me.
I love it. And I really think also that, my book is called Undaunted, that's coming out, and it's really about just going out and trying things. And I know you and I have had conversations about this. I mean, there's some things, that have worked, and some things maybe that haven't worked, I'm sure, along the way, but you're
Oh,
willing to
yeah.
try the journey, and, and like keep trying, right? Which I think is just what
Keep going.
go out and try these things and start small. And I always, hear from consumers who ask me, especially when I'm out speaking, like, how do you have the courage to go and launch a business? And I think so many people, including yourself, whether it's a small business or now a large business, it's you just start somewhere, right? You put a stake in the ground and you just go do it. And, you don't necessarily need to have tons of money to go and launch anything too. I think especially today, if you figure out how to do social,
Mm-hmm.
figure out like if you're okay with picking and packing products initially in order to get it out.
Oh, and we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all like, I mean, you start somewhere and you just kind of see what happens. And, and it's a really like fulfilling thing too, to be able to go and do that. And,
Absolutely.
I think like the confidence that you gain just from sort of knowing what you've accomplished along the way is probably huge.
And I think too, a good thing is, I don't know if you saw that chart. It's like the entrepreneur chart is like, one day you're like, ooh, I'm in this magazine. And the next day you're like, I get no's, no's, no's. And then you get like, and it's true. It's like, you just have to know there's going to be ups and downs. And even today, I have to remind myself that. Like, I'm going to have my ups and I'm going to have my downs and I'm going to have my disappointments and I'm going to have like, why did I waste that money on that? That was stupid. I mean, I've made so many mistakes. Like, I think I think you have to make mistakes in order for you to grow
Yeah.
as a business. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I've made a lot of mistakes and made bad decisions of like, why did I do this? I should have done that. And I don't know. I think that's something that if I could tell any person that's going to launch any business, whatever it is just know there's going to be ups and downs and you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Just keep going.
I think that's totally great. And also, you're a fairly new parent, and I think like the role that you're, playing for your son too is just amazing, right? Like, I think you're showing him that, you're going out and you're trying things and you'll have stories to tell. And
It's so funny. I think about that all the time. Thank you for bringing that up, because I always look at him and I'm like, mommy's doing this for you. You don't realize it, but I really am. Like, I want him to like look at me and be like, I'm really proud of my mom. Like, look at what she has tried. Even if I fail,
right.
at least I tried. And that's one thing. Like, if you fail, at least you tried. It's better to say I tried than not try at all. You don't want to look back at your life 10, 20 years and you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I did it. It didn't work out. Move on.
Right.
Then saying, oh, I wish.
No, I love it.
That's not good.
I absolutely love it. So how do people find you, Stevi? What's your social handles? And
So my social handle is Naturally By. That's it. Naturally By. And then my personal is Stevi Christine, SteviChristine. And Naturally By, a lot of people ask me why I named it that. My whole goal in that was I wanted it to be naturally by, and I want to eventually create this like little sanctuary of people where we work together. And it could be, so my assistant, his handle is Naturally By Matthew. So I want it to just eventually have this umbrella of people that we just work together and we do incredible brows together and we're all naturally by each other.
I love it.
So that's kind of the whole reason why I named it that.
I absolutely love it. So very, very cool. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yes, and you guys all go and I'm going to go buy some of Stevie's products again, too. I'm in desperate need right now as I'm looking at her beautiful brows. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
If you like what you heard, please help spread the word and leave us a review. You can also follow along with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Kara Goldin. Do you have a question for me or want to nominate an innovator to spotlight? Please talk to me at Kara Goldin on Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, be unstoppable.